Okay, there we go. All right. Good afternoon, everyone, or hello to all of you who will end up watching this on YouTube later. My name's Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University, and I'm on spring break, so I've been doing all sorts of silly and ridiculous things this week. You know, let's kind of recap what I've done in the last week or so. Uh, we trolled some people with Soldier Stompy, and actually managed to go 5-0 that one. We managed to 4-1 with my April Fool's Day deck, the super secret mono black control deck. We played 4-color humans last night and managed a pair of 3-2s. This deck list was very interesting. Maybe not necessarily good, but very, very, very interesting. It did a lot of like neat and powerful things. There may have been some deck building errors and mistakes, like I boarded out the Vizier of Deferment every single matchup, I think. Didn't really like that card. You like never drew it, never particularly wanted it. The deck kind of like closed out matchups fast enough where that wasn't really necessary. I also made changes to the mana base where I took out the basic planes, and then we lost 3 matches to Blood Moons. So, obviously punished for a deck building choice. Why wouldn't I be? I'm going to have 2 different things on my slate today. The first that I'll talk about in more detail is Black-White Taxes. This was a bonus stream for hitting 600 followers that I owe you all. So I'll talk about this deck list and give you like a proper deck tech momentarily. But then later this evening, I'm going to play some Maverick. This was something that was requested by someone on Reddit, and I should get around to that now. It seems like a good time to be choking people. Yeah, afternoon, Woody. So I'm happy that some of you can join in because like you're just working and you have something that you could put in on the background, or you just got to Seattle and you're just like killing some time before an awesome Legacy event starts up. And hopefully I'll get to see some of you on coverage rather than you watching me this time around. All right, so let's talk about this deck. When you're playing Black-White Taxes, you have to make a choice from the get-go. And the choice actually doesn't have to do with the main deck, it has to do with the sideboard. Before you start building your Black-White Taxes deck, you have to decide whether or not you want to play 1-mana black discard spells in your sideboard. Excuse me. Oh, Bahra, thank you very much for auto-hosting. If you want to play 1-mana discard spells like Thoughtseize or Inquisition of Kozilek in your sideboard, you need to not play Cavern of Souls, and you need to play a lot of black-producing mana lands. So I am not doing that. So what that means about my mana base is instead I can play Cavern of Souls to make my black humans uncounterable. And every black card that I am playing is a human. So Cavern of Souls in this deck just means all my black cards, except that one. That one's special. We'll talk about that. All my black cards are uncounterable. So the primary reason to splash black is really Orzhov Pontiff. You know, this card is a house. It is a breaker in the mirror. It gives you a fighting chance against elves. It's a way to kill True Name Nemesis. And it's tutorable to boot. This is all just a very, very, very great combo. And the other thing that I'm splashing for is good old Bob, Dark Confidant. I apologize for the Bob art. In order to get both the Maverick order and the Black-White Taxes order into the same card order loan order, I needed to use this art to just like get it right under my $300 limit. So I apologize for this, Bob. It's unacceptable. Oh yes, and as we learned last night, Orzhov Pontiff kills the Shrouded Enchantresses in Enchantress, which was pretty big game. So, what deck considerations do we then make if we put Dark Confidant in our deck? I think this makes another change to the mana base good. So I think if you're playing Bob, and you're drawing a bunch of extra cards, then it might just be better to play Ghost Quarter over Rishadenport. Now, this is not a change that I normally advocate for in D&T, but I think in the shell it's right. Because if we keep drawing cards, we have stuff to do with our mana, right? So we're not going to be porting. And if Bob keeps drawing us into Wastelands and Ghost Quarters, then for any deck that doesn't have basics, we're just kind of like keeping them off kilter and denying them mana. This is going to make some matchups worse. Like, for example, the Miracles matchup, like the port, is very, very, very important. Sorry, the chat's giving me some crap. Why aren't we bankrolling a trip for Phil to the GP? I'll donate if Phil agrees to go in Thalia cosplay. Maybe the next GP. Maybe the next GP. But I think Ghost Quarter can be very, very good in this shell. So the main deck is essentially mono white D&T, and can play like mono white D&T most of the time since we have fetch lands to just go and get the basic planes. But we have these Bobs and these Pontiffs. Bob happens to be tutorable, so if you tutor for a Bob, that's like a really good turn 3 play if you started with an Ether Vial, because you can go like cast Recruiter, Vial in Bob, and kind of like curve out in that way. So most of the sideboard is relatively stock, although we've replaced some cards. Some of our normal combo hate has been replaced by Kitesail Freebooter. Again, since we're running Cavern, we don't want to try to make Thoughtseize work on this mana base, because I only have 7 turn 1 pieces, or excuse me, lands that could cast a turn 1 Thoughtseize, so that's just like statistically unlikely to work out. We have additional Orzhov Pontiffs as removal. So if you look at like what we get to do in the Delver matchup, we get to bring in like 3 Pontiffs and 3 Path to Exiles in addition to the Pontiff that we already have, and just really be removal heavy for that matchup. So that's there. We get Kambal as a generically good card to board in. This should probably be in the main deck, but I felt like I constructed the main deck well, and I didn't think it was better than anything else that was already in the main deck. Since it's not tutorable, that decreases my desire to just jam it in the main deck. But it's very, very powerful against things like Storm, it's annoying against things like Delver, and pretty good against control decks. So I'll probably bring this in most rounds, honestly. But in game 1, I think I'd rather just have the Crusader to help me close the door a little bit more quickly. And then for the control matchups, I have a Bitter Blossom. This card is really annoying to play against. It's even more annoying if you have equipment to throw onto the tokens. So I think this card's going to be a lot of fun. We're not necessarily planning on just like jamming this on turn 2. You know, again, we have 7 ways to cast it. But in the games that are going long against like Checkpile and Miracles, this is going to be very good, and we'll find time to cast it. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump on in here, and we'll see how we do. Black, white taxes. Yes, I will 100% be at the Richmond Legacy GP this summer. I think my opponent plays Sneak and Show. This is an okay hand against Sneak and Show. We're not going to get much better than Thalia in game 1. And we have like Thalia and Caracas. Oh! I lied. It's burned. Oh, they drew us a Ghost Quarter. So I have 8 cards right now, so rather than discard, I'll just Swords the Goblin Guide right now. This doesn't give me a chance to just, like, draw another land, but it keeps me from discarding. And I probably want these lands to eventually hardcast the Batterskull. Ooh, opponent does not have another land. So this Pontiff doesn't do much this game. So it's probably wise to play around Price of Progress by just fetching another basic and jamming the Thalia. But I'm going to need to play another land anyway at some point this game. Probably multiple lands, so we're probably not playing around price this game anyway. So that might be incorrect, actually. Alright, opponent needs to spike a land to get this Thalia off the table. Otherwise, I'm likely to just take over this game. They can also suspend a Rift Bolt and use that to kill a Thalia. Oh, nope, this is just going to be a pass the turn. And we potentially lock them out with Thalia. Yes, aerial responder is great. That card was like insanely good in Soldier Stompy. It's also probably playable in D&T, especially if you don't have a lot of Baleful Strix in your metagame. Like, in a non-Baleful Strix metagame, that card's probably nuts. Alright. What does Recruiter get me? Not Bob. Not Bob is the answer. Recruiter probably just gets me a Stoneforge Mystic. Or I can just get Mom. Like, Recruiter for Mom, hold up Caracas, bounce Thalia end of turn, slam Batterskull, having Mom back up. That actually seems really good. Let's do that. Oh yeah, I made some very minor fetch land changes. There's not any functional difference between anything in the deck list there. Alright, suspend a Rift Bolt. I'm actually pretty tempted to just, like, use Caracas as a Lotus Petal to decrease my base, to like, decrease the number of lands that I have in play in case my opponent eventually gets to Price of Progress mana. Because I don't think I'm going to need, like, my lands for the rest of the game. Like, I'm going to put this Batterskull in play and just ride it to victory. And if I need to, I can just play the Scrub land to equip it somewhere else. That might be me just, like, overthinking this. Like, they'd need 2 more lands in order to get to that mana amount. So, yeah, that's probably just me overthinking. they just concede to the Batterskull there. That's not beatable. Alright, so against Burn, Cabal in, Freebooter in, Paths in, Canonist in, Relic Warder in. Bobs! Oh boy, those go out. And Pontiff goes out. Revoker can come out. If they show me Lavamancer, I might bring it back in. And then I'll cut some number of Crusaders and Recruiters to round things out. I think since a lot of my fat is gone from this version of the deck, I think I want to leave in one Crusader just as a finisher. Cutting Sword of Fire and Ice is reasonable. Oh, this hand is so close. With one land, this hand is insane. If my opponent's on a creature-based start, this hand is really good. 22 hits for a land. 2 chances to hit. 3 of my best cards in the matchup, like Relic Warder for Vortex or Eidolon, Canonist for everything else, Stoneforge for life gain, and double removal spell for early creatures. This is really tempting. I'm gonna keep it. What does chat say? Chat says keep it. I'd keep it, but I'm greedy. I agree. Like, this has, like, huge upside if my opponent starts on Goblin Guide and I get, like, a few more looks at lands. Yeah! So, like, we'll get 2 bonus looks for lands, and we have an answer to the Goblin Guide. Perfect. Do I want to play this fetch? Probably. Probably just want to get the basic planes. Like, I have my 1 off-color land already. So I can play... No, I'm going to lead on the Caracas. I'm going to defer that decision for a little while. And again, swordsing it right now because I have 7 cards in hand after playing both land and Swords to Plowshares. Alright, so whatever I play here is going to die. So I think I just play the Stoneforge and get my Jitte now. I expect this to get, like, searing blooded right here. Nope, just Lightning Bolt. Now I'm going to go ahead and get a basic. Alright, Canonist just lived. That's great. Opponent has lots of lands. Do you have a Sulfuric Vortex? No, it looks like you're tapping 2 mana. Ooh, smashed to smithereens on my Canonist. Well, that means it's not going at my Jitte, so I'm happy about this. It also might mean that they have another one. Ghost Quarter is a fine draw. I can use that to, like, transform one of my lands into a basic land at some point. In order to double spell this turn, though, I have to play the Scrub. Decklist feels good, but like we're in our first round here, so like yes, it is too early to tell. All right, opponent flooding out a little bit. Chain Lightning Mom, you bet. Not gonna pay to do that. Alright, my opponent has 1 card. It needs to be a removal spell or a smash, or we're real far ahead. Oh, rough. It's a Fire Blast on the Flicker Wisp. That does not feel good for them. This would be a really inconvenient time for them to draw Price of Progress and, like, just dome me for 8. Probably not playing that out. Not going to go for the equip here. I'm just going to leave up my Wasteland and my Ghost Quarter. Opponent is suspending a Rift Bolt, which makes me think they have another piece of removal, because otherwise they would just hardcast the Rift Bolt at the Relic Warder. If my opponent tries to remove my Leona Relic Warder, will I path it? Probably not. I'll just go ahead and pass the turn here. Should we report them for that Fire Blast art? I'm playing Bad Bobs today, so I can't talk. I can't report them to the art police when I'm doing that travesty. I get a Ghost Quarter. And then I'll path that Goblin Guide. So I kind of want to just Ghost Quarter myself twice over these next couple of turns just to get lands out of my deck, and so I can like stop having to hold up price, or not price, protection from price. I'll leave that at 2. Jeez. Random user, you get it. You get it. Suspending another Rift Bolt. Alright. Yeah, I really do think I want to just Ghost Quarter myself and get some of these lands out. So like I can Ghost Quarter my Scrub, get 1 land out, Ghost Quarter my Wasteland, get another one out, and then just have 1 left. Or I can just like give up the idea of protecting Thalia or Cabal and get rid of the Caracas. Of course. No, I don't think a basic swamp is good. Like, we're not playing that many black cards, so if we get wasted off of them, that's not the end of the world, right? Okay, that counts as something. I'm not going to send it out, though. I'm just gonna, like, Violet in end of turn and then gain infinite life. We just have to, like, dodge a Fire Blast or another 4 damage spell this turn. So probably just Fire Blast. Alright. Ooh! Ooh! Yeah, it is a very good time to come back. We are just gaining all of that life right here. This game is over. No chances. We don't actually need to just, like, kill them next turn with Mirran Crusader, because, like, this combo of, like, both Cabal and Mirran Crusader is just too much for my opponent. Yeah, I could have kept one counter to beat the Crusader, but like the game's over, right? Like we're just done here. Boy, that feels bad. Give me 2 life and kill one of my creatures, and still leave the good one on the battlefield. Good thing I still got all these backup lands, though, you know, in case I ever need to cast spells. Pyroclasm from Burn is really weird, by the way. That is not a conventional choice. Neat. Alright, opponent scoops it up. What's the matchup spread for a traditional mono-white Taxes build versus Burn? JPA, it's pretty close. Like, you'll get aggroed out a decent number of games and just, like, lose to tempo. But the games where you have a decent life total left after about turn 4, you're very, very likely to win. You're in terms of like matchup percentages, you're favored against bad Burn players, and it's even like real close to even, maybe slightly unfavorable against like very, very, very good Burn players, but there aren't very many of those. And if I'm being completely honest, like the matchup swings very greatly depending on how many copies of Smash to Smithereens the opponent has in about the top 10 to 15 cards of their library. Like when they have Smash early on and they can do something about your life gain, it matters a lot. Let me pull up some statistics. I don't think I've played against it a lot since I started tracking data, but I probably like have some statistics on it. So with regular D&T, it looks like I'm 1-2 against it. Oh wait, no, sorry, that's Deathblade. Chart's small. All right, I'll remind me in between rounds, and I'll take a closer look at this, but I just can't see the data quickly. So this hand is sketchy. But I'm on the play with a double Ether Vial start, and I have double Ghost Quarter, so if my opponent is like a Delver deck, these are just Wastelands? Disciplined decision is mulligan, but I'm not going to mulligan this. Army of Thalia, we connected with Crusader and Jitte once to gain 8 life, and then we played Kambal and they died. Damping Sphere is something that I will 100% test out. It has some downsides, like it's not tutorable with the stuff that we're normally playing. It's not a creature, it can't be vialed in, and those are things that matter. This is just... Bayou Tranquil Thicket. Turbo Depths? Or just like a mid-range Loam deck, like Aggro Loam? Sir Sethers, what is my preferred D&T build? I really like the red-white build currently. Or I like a mono-white build that contains copies of Mirran Crusader, and lots of them. Abrupt Decay on a Vial. Sure. Aggro Loam usually plays like a basic, right? I think they do. I'm going to take the time to check, but I think they have one forest. Might be wrong. Because if they don't have any basics, then I just 100% want to double Ghost Quarter them right here. Yeah, one forest, one forest. Alright, so I don't want to Ghost Quarter them. I think that there is an argument for both the red build and the white build being better right now. The red build is much better against Miracles and Check Pile, and the white build is much better against Delver. So I don't think it's like 100% like this build is better, but you kind of have to plan what you are playing against and make decisions accordingly. Alright, Punish and Fire the Mob. Sure thing. Alright, you want to get rid of my Scrubland. I probably want to take this opportunity to just Ghost Quarter myself and get a Plains, so it's like they really just wasteland my Ghost Quarter. So we're trudging along at a slow pace, but we're actually not in that bad of shape. Like, if my opponent just, like, discards a land and plays a knight here, we just Swords to Plowshares the knight, and they're down 2 cards. So I can't Ghost Quarter my own Ghost Quarter to just turn it into another land, which is unfortunate. Because, like, I can activate the ability targeting itself, but then once I do so, the target is illegal upon resolution, so the ability doesn't happen. So if they're going to do that, I am going to go ahead and Ghost Quarter them. They can fetch out a forest. And I'm not going to take them off a color at all. So I'm going to take them off of Taiga to just make repeated Punishing Fire chains a little bit harder. I think that is an extremely poor use of a Dryad Arbor, or excuse me, of a Green Sun Zenith. I think that is very greedy. Like, or not greedy, just like very poor, right? Because like they just wait another turn and then they probably do something that matters. Like, I don't even think I want to Swords the Dryad Arbor. I think I just leave that there. And if they attack in, I'll just, like, recruit or ambush it. Like, the only way this makes sense is if they have, like, another Green Sun Zenith in hand, and this is going to let them Green Sun Zenith for a knight, in which case I'll just plow that. Scudo, generically speaking, I'm not sold on Damping Field, but I'm going to test it. Why would you attack with that Dryad Arbor into my Vial on 3? It doesn't make, like, literal any sense to me. I think I want to get a Mirran Crusader and just start getting aggressive. Scavenging Ooze. You bet. Goblin Lackey, this should make sense to you in a second, then. That was the plan all along, was, like, use one Recruiter to get a Mom, use the other to get a Crusader, and unless they get, like, Grove this turn, we're insulated from Punishing Fire. hey Ring, we don't want him to just, like, gain a bunch of life over the course of the game with the Scavenging Ooze, and he won't attack with it if I don't use it. So, like, if I, like, he knows I get Crusader, then he just never attacks with the Scavenging Ooze, and it just sits there and gains a bunch of incremental life. We now have the Flicker Wisp train, along with Dark Confidant draw cards. Pretty hard to lose this one from here. I made a small misplay, but my opponent didn't notice it. I should have gone and played this Crusader pre-combat so my opponent couldn't wasteland me mid-combat. You know, super minor, but, like, a misplay is a misplay is a misplay. A Knight of the Reliquary, you say? That's fine. So 4, 7, 10 this turn, and 13 next turn. Oh, no. So I can hit for 10 this turn, get a Flicker Wisp, hard cast a Flicker Wisp on Recruiter. Recruiter get the 4th Flicker Wisp out Knight, and then be hitting for 16 next turn. Let's do that. Or we can just Jitte. Is Jitte lethal this turn? No, Jitte is not lethal this turn. Jitte is lethal next turn. Do I still like just doing my line from before? I think I still like my line from before. Although I can just, like, Jitte equip, blink out Knight, then have a giant Crusader and a bunch of flexibility. Is that better? It's still very lethal next turn. I guess it's worse against Abrupt Decay, because I give them an Abrupt Decay target. So if I just use the counters this turn, the counters just push 4 additional damage, so I can hit them for... I can hit them for 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then I can hit for another 14 next turn. I don't know if that's actually better, or I can just, like, hold the counters. The way that doesn't expose me to Abrupt Decay is probably better. Ooh, and I can also Wasteland if I just do the Flicker Wisp way. Although maybe I don't want to Flicker Wisp, because taking them off the 1 mana probably doesn't matter, but if they play Tabernacle, that matters. Yeah. Right, but I can't use the Flicker Wisp to both blink out the Knight so that they can't activate it, and also play around a, words. Just like a naturally drawn Tabernacle. Three, 6, 9, 12. Very, very lethal. Yeah, Bob was fine. Bob did some work. I agree. All right. So I definitely want Rip. I definitely, well, maybe not definitely want Paths, but I'll consider Paths. Could consider Bitter Blossom. Can consider Containment Priest. I can consider Relic Order. I can consider Pontiff. I have a lot of, like, okay cards in this matchup. Like, the Pontiff, it, like, can be good against random things like Scrib Ranger and Noble Hierarch and Dryad Arbor, but does nothing against the bigger threats and annoying things like Ramunap and Knight. I probably don't want Thalias. Like, they're a Caracas deck. That's a liability. But most of my other stuff is pretty reasonable. Like, I 100% want the Rest in Pieces. And then all of these other sideboard cards are kind of like, fine. Yeah, my opponent missed a lot of good lines in that game. Like, I don't think they could have won, but they could have, like, really had a fighting chance. Like, especially the just, like, random Green Sun Zenith for Dryad's Arbor. That was really poor. I don't think that's how you use a Green Sun Zenith in this matchup on, like, turn 6. Alright, I don't think I'm going to shut off for Vials. I do think I want the Bitter Blossoms. I do think I want the Relic Warders. And maybe that means I just don't play the Paths. Like, they're really good against some of their stuff, though. It's just awkward because they're a Chalice deck. I also don't know whether or not they'll keep the Chalice. So I think I'll submit like this for this game, And then next game, if I don't see Chalice and I lose this one, I'll consider bringing Paths in. This is a really hard matchup to sideboard for. Our hand's really good. Like, we get Vile into Bob, and my opponent mulliganed, and we have Recruiter for annoying stuff later on. Oh wow, opponent mulliganed twice. They've gone to 5. They're gonna need something like a Punishing Fire or a Loam to get card advantage, otherwise they're in trouble. My opponent had no turn 1 play. I am just wastelanding them. We'll just hit him in the kneecaps real hard. Yes, more Crux. I'm playing with Dark Confidant, and I think Bob changes how I want to build the deck, because I'm going to be drawing more cards, I'm going to have more to do with my mana, so I don't think I need Rishadan Port as a mana sink. Alright, Sylvan Library is a hell of a way to come back from a mulligan. Oh, dirty. If they don't have a removal spell for this Relic Warder this turn, then I'm going to have Mom to back it up. Oh man, they don't have the removal spell. Or they're holding it. But I think they don't have it. Oh, oh boy. Poor opponent. Poor, poor opponent. This is probably the point where I just, like, tutor up Athalia and make their life hell. And just, like, make it really tough for them to do multiple spells in a turn. No, actually, sorry. I think connecting with Jitte next turn is just better. Unless they wasteland me. So, and if they wasteland me, like, good luck on tempo. So I think I'm going to go hardcast Bob, end of turn, put in Stoneforge. If they don't wasteland me, I just start getting in with Jitte. That seems gross. Also, I boarded out Thalia. That is a good point, chat. Good on you. Our draws have been really gross this game. Even if my opponent didn't mulligan into Oblivion, this would have been a very, very, very hard hand to beat. An opponent just doesn't have anything to do. That is unfortunate for them. Alright, they need to wasteland me right now so I don't connect. Nope. I'm gonna put the Vial on the stack first so I can see what I flip with Bob. Yes! Yes, I will use Aether Vial's ability. Disgusting. So I can just cast this, there's no reason not to. Let's put this on... Doesn't really matter. Let's put on the... No, I'm going to flicker the stone first. I don't want to put on the stone forge. I'll put on the relic order. Alright, Bona just scoops it up there. They've given up deep inside. Yeah, they did. All right, so we're 2040 here with Black White D&T. I just want to flash the deck list for a minute for anyone who joined sort of recently. So we're playing Dark Confidant and Orzhov Pontiff in the main deck, using 3 Cavern of Souls and a handful of fetch lands and scrubs to support them. And we're trying Ghost Quarter over Rishadan Port here. The sideboard has Pontiffs, Freebooters, Comball, awesome. Not quite Legacy MVP. That's Devout Chaplain, as we learned last night, and a Bitter Blossom for the control matchups. All right, I'm going to take 30 seconds to just grab a drink of water here, and then we'll continue on. The deck list is below the stream, Crazy Cat Man. There is a deck list for Black-White taxes. There is also a deck list for the Maverick list that I'm going to play tonight. And Draku's, I am going to agree with you. I like Red-White taxes more than this deck. This is a deck I'm playing because I hit 600 subs, or excuse me, 600 followers. So I wanted to make sure that I did something to reward them and played something a little bit experimental. Aerial Responder, JPA. That card was really good. So it is a 2/3 Vigilance Lifelinker Flying Dwarf Soldier. It definitely overperformed. YOLO. That's not a typo, is it? 900 follower elves stream? I'm a man of my word, except on April Fool's Day. I do own elves on paper. I do own the enemy. I've played it before. I think I've even played it at competitive REL. We'll probably 5-0 when I do that. And then everyone will make fun of me for 5-0ing with elves. Did you see the 1,000? For the 1,000, we're going to celebrate with everyone's favorite deck, Nick Fit. So that'll be fun. I think I said I'd do 2 Nick Fit streams when we hit 1,000. So I think this pause means that my opponent is Storm, and they're trying to figure out if they can potentially go off this turn. Because if I just, like, draw a land and go land Thalia, they lose. Yeah. Land one-time dealer. Oh! Oh! I'm so good at Magic. We don't need him to whiff if we can just cast Thalia. So I can get my one Revoker here and revoke their Lotus Petal. Or I can Recruiter. So I can Recruiter, get Revoker, revoke Lotus Petal, bash in for 3. I can also just, like, Wasteland them, put in Stoneforge. Alright, I'm attacking with both of these. Let's do that first while I think. I think if I revoke them this turn, and then I Wasteland them next turn and put Stoneforge in, I don't think they can win. But, like, wasting them if they don't have another land is really insane, because then they have to use the Lotus Petal. What puts the most immediate power in play? Recruiter plus Revoker means that I'm hitting for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 next turn. That's probably very good. Can they do anything with enough LEDs? Potentially. But, like, they would have to take a turn off to, like, play out, say, 2 LEDs. And then I could still Wasteland them. So I can just Wasteland them, Vial in Stoneforge, get Batter Skull. Next turn, Recruiter and put it on either Lotus Petal or LED, depending on what they do. That flexibility could be better. I think we're like 90+% to win the game either way. I guess if the only way we lose is with multiple LEDs, we play around that. Ah, you get it. Yeah, really, really happy that I'm just getting to, like, play Magic this much. You know, Is this another person who thinks that Revoker stops fetch lands? Because, like, everyone and their mom thinks that for some reason. You know, even though it's 2018. Yeah, people mix up Pithing Needle and Revoker on, like, a daily basis. I didn't hear about that, Greater Steven. That's awesome. So for anyone just listening, he wrote that, wasn't it Craig Wesco who wrote non-land in all capital letters on his revokers at one point? That's adorable. Alright, they're going for it. Oh, this is one of those, like, not safe goes for it. I see. Opponent just has mono rituals in hand. Ooh. We're gonna be real close to dead. So this puts opponent back up to 6 mana. They have 7 mana with the Lotus Petal. They could use 3 mana to go and get another tutor, but then they would need 5 in order to tendrils. So they have to get the tendrils right here, and tendrils me for a non-lethal number to buy time, and then try to get a Past in Flames kill. Oh, geez, they had a card in hand. Never mind, none of that matters. They're just dead now. Oh, they also couldn't use the Lotus Petal. Yep, okay, yeah, super dead then. Thank you. Alright, so Pontiffs will come in for Goblins. Kambal will come in because he's bros. Freebooter, get in here. Canonist, Rip, and Relic Warder, get in here. Alright, what's getting out? Swords to Plowshares is getting out. At least one piece of equipment is getting out. Actually, so I'll probably board out Batterskull and Jitte and some number of Stoneforges, because I think I'm going to leave the Bobs in, because just, like, drawing into additional disruption is pretty good, even though, like, it impacts my life total. Phil, if you could play D&T in Vintage, would you? I've tried. I've tried a lot. The answer is yes, but Shops is just better. They also keep restricting cards that go into the Hate Bears decks, which is frustrating, because it, like, overlaps with Shops. Like, losing Thorn was really rough. I think I like this. Yeah, Greater Steven, that's fine, thank you. Yeah, so, like, there are a handful of different names. I tend to just, like, refer to them as, like, either just Hate Bears decks or White Eldrazi decks. Because a lot of times, like, the Hate Bears decks still just play, like, Thought-Knot Seer, because it's really, really, really good. This is not good enough. Not even after my opponent mulliganed. I'm not going to be tricked by, like, 2 potential disruptive elements in Confidant. We're going to try to find a Thalia. This is actually worse, I think. We can't cast the Bob. This is still a mulligan. This is still a mulligan. This one we keep. It doesn't get much worse than this. We need to spike a land here so that we can revoke her on LED. That goes to the bottom. Ugh, ship it. Ugh, ship it again. OMG. Yes, that was very bad. I I don't regret any of those mulligans at all. I think those were all correct mulligans. It just did not work out, and that's fine. It's hard to win game 2 on the draw anyway. Ooh, so I can just wasteland them. But I'd rather wasteland a black source. Is that greedy? That's probably greedy. I'm not going to wasteland them. That may be a mistake. But I'd much rather revoke LED and then wasteland them. Because I think the easiest way to lose this game is just to Lion's Eye Diamond. God, I hope they're just playing those out to avoid a potential, like, top deck Thalia. Please just be playing those out. Into my Revoker that you know about. Please just be playing those out into the Revoker that you know about. Uh-oh. Okay. Opponent is going to have to ad nauseum, so we're not 100% dead. But, like, they're going to have 4 mana floating going into an ad nauseum from 18 life. Opponent's hand was a pretty much ideal 6-card hand, though. Right? Because, like, they cantrip turn 1, and then they went triple LED Infernal. That's very insane. Ooh, that's actually great for me. They have, like, nothing so far. They might need to stop so they don't just die. Like, they are in real danger of dying. They can't kill me yet, but they might be able to string something together over 2 turns. Okay, now they might be able to kill me. So Brainstorm is 8, Ponder is 9, Tendrils is lethal then. I'll make him see it, but yeah. I do not regret not wastelanding, for anyone curious. Alright, so we know that my opponent is playing a bunch of Abrupt Decays, so that's something to keep in mind. This hand does nothing. Like, it's a good hand against the Not Storm deck. Ugh. This is not a good hand. But it has Cabal. I would need 1 land in order to cast him. I do have a Wasteland. I get a Scry. I have Insulation from Goblins. This is a probably safer keep than a 5 with a Scry. So we're going to keep this, and that Karakas will go on top so that I can cast Cabal on 3. Don't feel good about winning this game, though. Like, a Cabal Therapy strips so much of the power from this hand, unfortunately. Alright, so opponent needs to answer Cabal this turn, or have Abrupt Decay, or just go off this turn. I'm gonna go ahead and fetch a scrub land here. I really don't want to draw any more lands. So they don't know about this Caracas, so I should not show them this Caracas. I should just make them think that if they answer Cabal, like, that's it. And then in following turns, I can have Caracas protection for it and Bile on 3. Ah. Alright, opponent shuffled. So they still don't have lands. We have a ton of relevant top decks. That counts as a relevant top deck. Alright. So we've got Cabal Writ, Chain, Dark Writ, double LED, Past in Flames, Preordained. So I can ignore the blue cards. I probably need to just take the Past in Flames. It's their only kill condition they have right now. The rest of their hand is like literal nothing. Life's awkward when they eventually draw a blue land, because they can Chain of Vapor the Freebooter, play their rituals, double LED, Past in Flames, and that could get them there. Alright. Okay. Infernal Tutor rip off the top is gross. But it has to be ad nauseum because I have their Past in Flames. Ooh. Okay. We really did not catch a break this game. Like, they had the Fatal Push the one turn we exposed Kambal to it. They had Infernal Tutor to go off in this window here. We didn't draw anything else to pressure their life total, so, like, if they went for an ad nauseum kill, they just had that. I'm not crazy, right? Like, they just have it. They just cast Infernal Tutor and then Tendrils. I don't know why they're pondering. Oh, they have cards in hand. Why did they probe? Did they just kill themselves? Oh, jeez. They are not hellbent anymore. They double Gataxian probed off Past in Flames rather than just, like, going for the kill. Like, they didn't need the 2 extra Storm. They just had me. Oh shit, that was a therapy targeting themselves. Okay. Alright. We got a little bit unlucky there, but, like, I felt fine in the matchup. Like, we completely invalidated the Goblin's kill all game. We played a relevant hate card. It got answered. We played a second relevant hate card. It got answered. Like, so be it. Womp womp. Like, this list is pretty good on interaction for the Storm matchup. Like, we boarded in almost our entire sideboard, right? We boarded in 11 cards. And, like, we also have, like, the Pontiffs in there in the main deck, too. I'll keep this. It's not the greatest hand. Like, it has double Caracas, which I don't like. It has Vile and only one creature, which I don't like. Swamp Thoughtseize. Maybe it's Reanimator. Play poorly, win anyway. That's cute. I do kind of like that. Yeah, I need to figure out why the Womp Womp counter doesn't reset. It's supposed to reset, but I guess it's just, like, lifelong. I should really just rephrase it, like, total Womp Womp count is. I'll write myself a note. Okay, so Snow-Covered Swamp and Snow-Covered Forest. Looks like we're playing against Turbo Depths, and they're running Snow-Covered so that they can be fetched with Into the North. So the fact that we have a Caracas opener is actually, like, very, very good. Life is full of womp womps. I like that. Opponent could have Wastelands, but if they have Wasteland, they're going to Wasteland this Caracas first, so I'll probably just play Scrubland into Jitte here. Thank you, Scudo. So Army of Thalia, I don't know if I answered that or not after you were here, but the snow-covered lands are for into the north, and so this is Turbo Depths. Turbo Depths is a very, very, very good matchup for D&T. Like, there's a lot of play to it, there's a lot of decision points, but the Caracas Flicker Wisp deck is pretty good against the Merit Lodge token deck. Good old crop rotation. Ooh, so they've got a Hex Mage, it seems like. So they're gonna, like... So they'll play Vampire Hex Mage, they'll revoke my Caracas, and then produce a Merit Lodge. Yep. So close to having what I need. I can't just, like, put this on Mom and attack in, because Vampire Hexmage has first strike. So I can't use that to gain life and buy a turn. I just have to, like, hold up a bunch of mana and pass. Yes, main deck Needle is common in that deck. Alright. The jig is up. I don't have anything. But I bought myself a turn by not taking any actions. This is why you don't just concede. Like, this buys me time to, like, find a Wasteland, or a Flicker Wisp, or another Flyer, or a Swords to Plowshares. Alright, well, half of those things are still relevant now. Hexsteps is actually really popular online. Like, it is a non-0%, like, it's probably 3-ish% of the metagame or something like that. Like, it is a real number. Alright, so my opponent, no matter what, attacks in this turn, and I die. So, they know 3 of the cards in my hand. If I play this Thalia, I'm just dead. So, I need them to make a mistake. So here's how we win. We need them to block with Merit Lodge, not Vampire Hexmage here. If they block with Merit Lodge, I get to gain 4 life, and I can play Thalia to block the Vampire Hexmage. Okay. We concede there. Because now we're just dead on board, and there's no way they don't attack with the Merit Lodge. Ooh, man, Bitter Blossom just produces an infinite stream of chump blockers for this matchup. That's neat. Is Sylvan Safekeeper an X1? I think Sylvan Safekeeper is an X1. Okay. So Pontiff will get rid of that. Is Kambal good enough? Probably not. So most or all of the Stoneforge Mystic package is going to come out here. I think that's the worst portion of my deck. And that would be an exact in-out. Is there anything else I want to cut? No, 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 no. Probably still no. No. No, 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 no. Yeah, I think I like that. Containment Priest for what? Like, Flicker Wisp on its own already exiles their guy. So, like, we don't need that. Because like, Merit Lodge is a token, and when you blink a token, it just dies. Kambal's really close because, like, the life gain from it can make us live past 1 Merit Lodge hit. Oh, Rybski, thank you very much for subscribing and supporting my efforts here on Twitch and Thraben University. I appreciate the support a lot. It means so much to just have all these people who just want to sit here and chat with me while I play weird legacy decks. Yeah, use that emote. I think I'm gonna cut. Kambal might just be better than Pontiff. Maybe not. Alright, I'll leave it. I'm on spring break. If you think I'm not going to play weird legacy decks when I'm on spring break, you're sorely mistaken. Alright, opponent has mulliganed once. We have a hand with 2 disruptive elements and like a half disruptive element and a card draw engine. So like this is fine even though it's a 1-lander. A Pithing Needle on Vial would be annoying. Yeah, Scudo, I'm thinking about, like, making Saturday mornings a regularly scheduled stream time. Just so that, like, my overseas followers can watch me live more often. Ooh. Not dead. The nerve-wracking thing, though, is that might mean that they have a fast hand. Like, this might mean that they just have, like, a turn 3 kill. And they're just worried about the disruption from my side more than they are my primary game plan. Ooh, they are lacking colored mana right now. Is this a Ghost Quarter themselves? This is Ghost Quarter, their own Ghost Quarter. That does not work how they want it to work. Yeah. That feels bad. Opponent's Womp counter has increased by 1. Look at all those colorless lands from my opponent. Very sad. We're gonna leave the Vial on 2 for at least 1 turn. Alright, now we get to see what's going on. Alright, so 3x crop rotation, Sylvan Safekeeper, and Urborg. I guess it's a tough choice, but I think I'm going to take a crop rotation. I'm just gonna, like, 100% bash in for large amounts of damage here. Opponent has basically stone cold nothing. So Stuntin', basically why that doesn't work is Ghost Quarter has a legal ability that you can activate targeting itself, but then the costs are paid when you sacrifice it, and then when the ability tries to go and resolve, there is no legal target, so it is countered upon resolution for having no legal target. Yeah, so the Bitter Blossom is primarily for control decks, but just like paying 1 life to keep a Merit Lodge at bay forever seems really good. Oh, I'm glad you finally got a chance to catch me live. I'm on spring break, so I'm getting to do some day streams that I normally don't get to do. Oh man, this hand's awesome. Like, we have double Vial, Wasteland, Path, and Freebooter. We have a lot of disruption on different angles, too. So, Greater Steven, I'm going to recommend that you take a look at the formal steps for how to cast a spell. Because casting a spell or activating an ability is like a 7-step process or something like that. And it's worth your time to have knowledge of how that works. Long story short, paying the costs is one of the final things that happen. And so you choose your targets before the costs are paid. So it's a legal choice for targets, but by the time you go to pay the spell and you actually make your choice and you sacrifice it, it's not there when the ability resolves. Do you play modern D&T as well? Looking to confirm before I follow. I'm not a legacy player. I am not a modern player, unfortunately. I am not above playing modern from time to time, but I am primarily going to be a legacy streamer. So what do I want to do this turn? I kind of want to Wasteland the Bayou in an attempt to take them off of colored mana. I can also Path the Safekeeper, trying to get rid of that. They'll probably sack a land, and then I can take their second land. I really like that. I really, really like that if that works out the way I want it to. It's a little awkward if I just ramp them, but I don't think they're going to let me do that. Yeah, so I have an undergrad degree in biology. Not using it a ton currently, but I have one. Yes! Yes! One mana sinkhole. Go, go, go. I do not like this attack from my opponent. If I had a mom and I ambushed that, that would probably be catastrophic for them. Ooh, hoo, 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 hoo. I'm such a bully, chat. Alright, so they have Dark Depths, Double Spirit Guide, Hex Mage, and Right. So I get their Right. So that leaves them with Hex Mage, Dark Depths, and Double Spirit Guide. That's doing a whole lot of nothing. Oh, semantics. It's so fun. Fine with just thinning things out a little bit here. Crusader's a pretty good draw. That's going to help us close this game, because I didn't really have pressure. Okay, that means that my opponent can go and produce a Merit Lodge next turn by playing Dark Depths and using the Spirit Guides to accelerate out. Okay. Does that mean I want to kill the Safekeeper? So I'm attacking for 4, 5. That puts him to 13. I don't need to kill the Safekeeper yet. Although I hit for 1 more point of damage if I do. I think I'm fine with taking that 1 more point of damage here. Like, I'm going to get rid of this at some point. Might as well do it now. This will just give me more flexibility in dealing with the Merit Lodge. Awkwardly, if I chump with Kitesail Freebooter, they get the right of consumption back, and they just potentially get to kill me. Alright, so I'm trying to think if I'm supposed to respond to this needle. Because if I don't respond, they probably just name Vile. But I really want more draws to get rid of the Merit Lodge. So they'll name Caracas if I name Merit Lodge. They won't actually have the land they need in order to right me if I have to chump block. So I think I do just Vile in the Bob. So we'll be drawing to Path, Swords, Flicker Wisp, Caracas, Recruiter. Alright, not Caracas. Drawing to an absolute shit ton of cards. Got there. Alright, and the opponent just concedes it there. You know, I think they have to go for it main phase, right? Because otherwise my Wastelands, and I don't know if they've seen my Ghost cards, but my Wastelands and Ghost Quarters just mean they cannot win the game under any circumstances. So I think they just have to, like, go for it and try to dodge removal. Like, it's a question of, do you want to play around the 4 Wastelands, or do you want to play around the 4 Flicker Wisps? And I think, like, they might not know that I have the Ghost Quarters, but, like, it was definitely better to just produce it there. Because, like, they shut off Caracas, and they ignored Wasteland, so they blank 7 cards and then go for it. That's fine. Bully Wisp, I like that. I like that a lot. Alright, I'm going to pull up the deck list again, and I'm going to run to the restroom before we go into the 5th and final round of this league. What is the Bitter Blossom for? The Bitter Blossom is largely for control matchups. Like, against Miracles and Check Pile, it just produces, like, body after body after body that you can go and throw equipment on. So it's a strong threat for control matchups, although it has utility elsewhere. Like, we brought it in against Turbo Depths so that we could go and do something like, say, just produce blocker after blocker after blocker for Merit Lodge. Alright, so for anyone who doesn't know me, hello, my name's Phil Gallagher. I run ThrabenU University, an educational site specifically for Death and Taxes, and today I am streaming with Black-White Death and Taxes. I will be playing Maverick later tonight after dinner. I don't know an exact time. I'm on spring break, so everything's kind of loosey-goosey, but probably sometime between like 5 and 7 p.m. Eastern time tonight. I'll be doing a league with Maverick. So, how is this list? Do you want to play it again? Yeah, this list feels pretty strong, actually. Bob's solid. Pontiff is really, really good. Freebooter has proven that it is, you know, a powerful utility card. I've played that in 3 different lists this week. I've quite liked it. I would play this again. I don't like this better than like red-white taxes or mono-white taxes currently. But like this is definitely a viable shell, and I think when you hit the right matchups, it's going to be like crazy good. I really want a Thraben University College sweatshirt. Yeah, I want to do that. That's probably something that I'll look into this summer, is like just getting like a print run of like Thraben University hoodies. I really like the idea of that. Freebooter is better than Sculler, question mark. So Freebooter is easier to cast, right? So if you get Sculler, you need 2 true mana producing lands, and so you can't draw one of the Ghost Quarters or Wastelands in order to do that. So yes, I think Freebooter is better. Freebooter also has flying, so it like has evasion, and it's sort of a better attacking body than Sculler if your opponent actually has creatures in their deck. Yeah, so there are a lot of people who have shown interest in hoodies, so I'll have to look into that. Point proven, Phil is a better teacher than I am. Well, I've probably had more practice than most people. I'm gonna go back to my lab mice. It was turtles for me. Alright, so it looks like my opponent has played Grixis Delver, but is potentially currently on Miracles. I'll keep a good old Bob hand. Ooh, I get to Wasteland their land? Deal. Ugh, drawing second Source to Plowshares is really bad. Ooh, no Source to Plowshares for my opponent. That's good for me. Wow! Snap concession to Mother of Runes and a Wasteland. Skill game. Skill game. What'd you cut for the Ghost Quarter? Rishadan Ports. I think they pair better with Bob. Alright, so let's assume that my opponent is playing Miracles, because one of their previous deck lists was Miracles, and let's board for that, and maybe be wrong and get ambushed by like Stoneblade or something like that. Well played. Yes, only my side tried hard. Opponent just threw in the towel. Yes, that is an insanely early scoop, and my opponent didn't learn that I had like Bob in my deck. So, I think that was premature. What do I want to board out? I have a few more good cards than normal because of the Bobs. Baruch, I have an old list that ran Renegade Rallier that had Wasteland Ghost Quarter, so I can see Ramu not fitting into that shell. Bill Saurus, Rex, I don't like cutting equipment in this matchup because the games go long and it's one of your sources of card advantage. So even though Jitte isn't great and it's like probably the last piece of equipment I'd fetch out, I still want it in the deck. Yeah, I could see cutting Crusader. It's one of the better cards that's a threat on its own, but it's not really disruptive at all. That's probably fine. I do love Crusader, but that's probably correct. I could also have chosen to trim Mom in sort of anticipation of stupid Terminus being great. Oh! Surprise! We may have boarded incorrectly, chat. This does explain the early concession. So opponent might actually be playing something like Deathblade. In which case we're boarded like half correctly, so it's not that bad. But it's bad. Ooh, opponent's Deathrite Shaman doesn't do anything this turn. Awesome. Unfortunately, we're literally never going to draw removal spells for it. Like, my money is on Deathblade. And we're going to play Scrubland, I think. In anticipation of my opponent having True Name Nemesis, I'm going to get Sword of Fire and Ice first. So, Scudo, my opponent played, like, Tundra Ponder, basic plains. I wasted them, and they conceded, I think, to just, like, an Ether Vial or a Mom. So we boarded for Miracles, and they're very obviously not Miracles. Yeah, their concession makes a lot of sense now, because, like, they're probably a 4-color deck on basic planes with active Mom and Vial. They weren't winning that. And so for anyone who's not familiar with this trick, we activate the Stoneforge Mystic, hold priority, activate the Vial, get second Stoneforge, so that I can put in the Batter Skull, and then this doesn't give my opponent an opportunity to, like, interact with the Stoneforge Mystic and just take me off of all of my stuff that matters before I have a chance to activate and do my thing. Alright, opponent could have an abrupt decay for this sword. Otherwise, this game's more or less over. Oh, jeez. Poor little buddy. There's no lens. Oh. You're just doing me too on the way out. We salute you, Deathrite Shaman. So there's a lot of brewing going on in the D&T universe. Ooh, man, this is great. I get to time walk. Did you know we have time walk on a stick? Because we do. Okay, Red Twister, let me answer that question now. So there's a lot of brewing going on. Do you think this is trying to solve the puzzle of the Grixis Delver matchup? So I think that Mono White is really, really, really well positioned against Delver, so it doesn't have anything to worry about. But the Mono White list is not good against Miracles, which is a little bit of a problem at bigger events. Whereas the Red-White deck is, like, it has good, but not, like, stellar matchups against Grixis Delver, but then is, like, noticeably better versus Miracles and Check Pile. So I think there is a tension between people, like, wanting to, like, have their cake and eat it, too. So that match was disgusting. Like, that whole round just, like, shows the power of the D&T shell. Where game 1, we waste them, have Vile and Mom, and that was it. We won the game. And then in game 2, they didn't have an answer to my first couple of cards, and they didn't have a fetch land for their Deathrite Shaman, and I didn't wasteland them, or I didn't fetch, and then I was able to just, like, get Batterskull, put Sword of Fire and Ice on Batterskull, and then the Gitaxian Probe Time Walk with Canonist was just absolutely gross. So, like, these are the sorts of games that show you, like, why you should play D&T. Like, my opponent probably had a handful of relevant cards, and I just invalidated all of them. That was not necessarily a game that, or a match that, like, the Black Splash helped or hurt, but it was, you know, a good display of, like, what this deck does and how to play it. Alright, so what did we lose to? Ant. Very, very, very narrow losses to Ant. Actually, no. Most of the, like, True Name Nemesis, Umezawa's Jitte matchups are very, very bad. Like, 4 years ago, Deathblade was a very good, or I guess back then it would have just been, like, mostly, like, Blue-White Stoneblade or Esper Stoneblade. Those sorts of matchups used to be very, very, very good, because Thalia was just cripplingly good, and then all of those decks got True Name Nemesis, and that was just back-breaking for the matchup. Okay, 2 questions here. 1, what were the matchups for that matter? Wins versus Burn, Punishing Maverick, Turbo Depths, and Deathblade, and a loss to Ant. Both losses were very narrow. Both times, like, if opponent's hand would have been 1 card different, they did not have it. So in game 1 we lost against Ant. I think they went off through Athalia. And then in game 3, we played Cabal. We're going to have Caracas back up for it the next turn. But then they had, like, Sack, Lotus Petal, Fatal Push, Cabal. And we didn't have a good follow-up play. Alright, so Greater Steven. Essentially how it works is Stoneforge activation goes on the stack. We tap Vile, it resolves, puts new Stoneforge trigger on the stack. You fetch up a new piece of equipment, you put in the new piece of equipment. Now, let's talk about what happens if this goes wrong. Activate Vial, get new Stoneforge. Stoneforge trigger, they can then try to kill the original Stoneforge so that I can't put in the new piece of equipment that I fetch. We probably invalidate that line there anyway, since we have an active Mother of Runes, but this is one of those things where you want to always play the best that you can play, even when you don't think that it's going to be relevant. So Greater Steven, does that make sense now? I want to just make sure I explain that clearly, because it's not something that is intuitive. Alright, so Nunk Ellington, what other black cards can be considered for this deck? Realistically, the black cards that I have in here are the best black cards for this shell, but there's an asterisk there. If you don't play Cavern of Souls and you instead play more true black sources or more fetch lands, you can consider Thoughtseize or Inquisition of Kozilek out of the sideboard. So the deck built the way that it is right now, this is probably correct. But if you wanted to run turn 1 discard instead of Kitesail Freebooter, you change the mana base to accommodate that. With the mana base as is, you only have 7 potential turn 1 black sources for a piece of black hand disruption. And even if you make it 10, 10 is still sub 50%, so less than half of your lands can go and cast the disruption on turn 1, which is why I'm not trying to do it. It's just mathematically risky. Not unreasonable, but risky. False! There are no Vampire Nighthawks! I got that out of my system earlier this week when I did my April Fool's Day stream. For anyone who missed this, that was a treat. I enjoyed that a lot. Yes, Bosk. I believe that was Swords to Timeshares from MTG Salvation, and he wrote most of the Black Splash page that is currently on Thraben University. It's a bit outdated, so I'll need to update that at some point, but it was good then. You'll still see him top 8ing his local events from time to time. So if you're really familiar and you regularly check MTG Top 8, you'll see his lists from time to time. All right, folks, give me one moment to check some stuff here. Oh man, it looks like there aren't really any legacy streams going on right now. Doesn't look like I have anyone really to host. That's unfortunate. Oh well. No host, I'll just let auto host do their thing. Alright folks, I'm going to go ahead and call it here. My name's Phil Gallagher, I run Thraben University. I usually stream D&T on this channel, usually red, white, or mono white, but I'm on my spring break, so I'm just kind of doing silly things over here. If you want to follow me, later tonight I will be streaming Maverick, and I got a Tin Fins stream planned for sometime in the next couple of days, once I borrow my roommate's deck, and probably a couple other silly things before my spring break is over here. So cheers, I'll see some of you later tonight, and if you really enjoy my content, consider subscribing to support Thraben University and my Thalia-based efforts. Cheers!